What felt particularly broken when you were an SDR? Why did you decide to go down the services specifically when everybody was saying, yeah, just build software here?
Quotas keep getting missed. I see very, very few organizations that are crushing their sales targets, and sales always is the biggest bottleneck for most companies. You only earn the right to automate once you have understood the problem. And this is actually one of our mantras at Throxy, is earning the right to automate. AISDRs have completely proven incapable of delivering outcomes, whereas we have completely proven ourselves capable of delivering those outcomes. You replied to my email, didn't you? And they say, oh, yes, I did. And I was like, how do you think that happened? And he's like, that was AI. And I'm like, yes, that was AI.
How's it going, Paulo?
It's going well. How about yourself? How are you doing?
Very, very hot in Spain. So I'm super excited to have you on because we've known each other for a little bit for different reasons. And you guys just are crushing it at Throxy, and super excited to have you on the pod, man. So I know you guys just closed the round. You came back from Y Combinator. You passed a 1 million in ARR milestone. And I'm just stoked to dive a little bit into one, your trajectory, then how you decide to build Throxy. What is this full stack AI company bet that you guys are going after? Because I think it's pretty contrarian and different. And then just go a little bit into your thoughts on the market and what the fundraising experience has been, like anything that you think can be helpful to others following your path, starting a company from a founder lens, basically. So yeah, let's start there. I'll stop talking about it. Tell me a little bit, I know you're a biomedical science guy, in the origins. So how does a biomedical science student in London from Spain start a company?
Perfect. So, the UK is very different to something like Spain in terms of where you study. I actually studied biomedical sciences, but I knew from the beginning I wanted to go into sales. I just wanted to do something that would interest me, that could open potential avenues in the future to go to pharma sales or something like that. But I knew since the beginning I wanted to do sales. And given that there's not like a sales master's or a sales university degree, I was like, let me just do something that I enjoyed. But alongside my degree, I was working as an SDR, BDR. So I started in sales very early, and I realized in many ways it was broken. I never really knew I wanted to do my own company, but given that I kept facing the same problems in completely different organizations, I was like, yeah, this might be fixed with some automations, with some AI. And I went to the smartest person I knew, who was Now. He was working at JP Morgan in AI, very, very early days, GPT-2 birth. And I basically walked him through my day-to-day as a BDR. And I was like, this cannot be it, can it? And he was like, no, it can't. And we left our jobs and we decided to build.
What felt particularly broken when you were an SDR? So I have experience as an SDR from 10 years ago, and it felt super broken. And I think very little has changed since. And it's only with this new wave that we're seeing some real changes happening. So what felt most broken to you like 10 years later, no?
I think it comes from three parts. The first one and the most obvious one, quotas. Quotas keep getting missed. Everyone keeps missing quotas. I see very, very few organizations that are crushing their sales targets, and sales always is the biggest bottleneck for most companies. So that was the first thing, the obvious one. So I was like, yeah, something needs to be done so sales reps are hitting their numbers. But then the second one was more operational. As a BDR, I was cold calling. I was using software like Salesforce, which felt like from the 90s. I was manually researching to try to find a phone number. And I was shipping like very basic code to try to solve that, but I'm not a coder, and it was already giving me like such an unfair advantage. So I was like, the second I partner with someone that actually knows how to do this, we're going to crush it.
And what felt broken specifically with the research process? Like, was it researching ICPs that you were dunking a bunch of time into? Was it updating the CRM? Like what was the biggest time sink?
So I think not a single task is very difficult by itself, but when you combine them, they compound to hours and hours lost. So I think you have to start with the account before you even think persona. What type of account can I reach? At some organizations I was in, the CRM was completely mapped. So it was very easy. I just had to go to the CRM, find an account that wasn't touched, and find a new decision maker or get that decisions maker information. But in the other ones, especially early stage startups, you have no idea who your target market is. You might have combined a couple of databases or have done some scraping, but more often than not, you only have like 20% of your target market. So trying to research that, it was very difficult. I'll give you an example. I was working at a company selling to universities, and I had to go into like government websites to try to see every single university in different countries. And then I had to actually qualify based on the revenue numbers, which are very difficult to come across sometimes. Then I had actually to go and find the directors of admissions, which wasn't always called directors of admissions. And every single task just felt like I was doing monkey work repeatedly. And I was like, yeah, this does not feel right.
Yeah, you have a post on this. I think you say, my biggest cold email hack that actually works. Put more effort into your targets. No, so go. I like you that you're talking about building a smarter system, and then we can talk about another contrarian post that I really like of yours, which is everyone boasting about the perfect tech stack on LinkedIn, and they're missing the point. No, but to your point on building a smarter system, particularly for early stage companies. No, what can they do? What's an 80-20 approach to flip the dynamic that you've been talking about? Like, what's broken?
So I think the first thing is to address the common concern when people think that their outbound's not working. The most common thing that there is like, oh, the messaging's not resonating. But maybe you actually have your messaging cracked and you're just reaching the wrong people. So I think the most important thing, it tends to be account-based. Usually, if there's a very big problem in the organization, everyone from the CEO to the cleaner will know about it. So doesn't matter who you reach out in the organization, as long as you're reaching the right organization, you'll probably get a good response. So I think this is where most people get it wrong, is the most important targeting is account. Then persona. So what persona is the most relevant person to reach out? This becomes even more important in enterprise as the companies get bigger. Different personas essentially function as different organizations. And once you have the right persona, the right account, you can send the worst possible message in the world. If the pain resonates, they'll at least hear you out. So yeah, I think how do you get along of building that list? Just realize who are the people that are facing this issue. What are the accounts? And if they're on Reddit, go and scrape Reddit. If they're on LinkedIn, go and scrape LinkedIn. If they're in a lost directory of an event in 2006, go to that event. So there's not a single approach. And this is what I really dislike about like this LinkedIn posts of everyone thinks that you can just follow recipes. Where are your prospects? Just go where they are and find them.
Makes total sense. So tell me more about this. You're saying what they're not saying. This perfect tech stack post. They're saying they're spending $2,000 a month on tools to find ICPs, find emails, verify contacts, enrich data, so on and so forth. And then you say then they are spending $3,000 to $50,000 a month on staff to manage this tool, and still no meetings. Like tell us more.
I mean, so I've been at some companies with huge BDR teams, and every single BDR had the exact same tech stack. So at one of them, we had ZoomInfo, we had Aurum, we had every single tool that you can imagine. And then you realize, first of all, why is everyone using the exact same tooling? Some people are absolute killer cold callers. Others are amazing at LinkedIn and socials. So why don't you just give a budget to their BDR and allow them to build their own tech stack? Yes, you can give them guidance, but not everyone works the same. And even within the same organization, not everyone hits the exact same targets. So I was hitting legacy industries at my previous company, whereas my colleague sat next to me, he was hitting SaaS companies. Why are you giving me the same tech stack to reach a completely different set of prospects? So I think this applies with recommendations. Is LinkedIn recommendations tend to be very focused in software sales, but most companies are not software sales. Most companies, I know it's crazy, but most companies are not on LinkedIn. Most companies, many of them still don't even have a website. So why are you thinking that that's the way to prospect. So the most important thing is where are your prospects at, and build a tech stack around that. Don't think tech stack and then try to fit your prospects in.
That's super interesting. In my experience as well, even within the same organization, and this came also on HubSpot's sales acceleration formula book, you shouldn't force the same selling dynamic to all members on your team. So not even between different segments or companies operating for different targets, but even within your team. Some people might be great at emails. Some people might love, calling. Some people might like sending email, like parcels, like physical books or whatever it is. So completely agree. So also, let's bring it back to your current project, right? Like your company, Throxy. And correct me if I'm wrong, and you strike me as, again, like a pretty contrarian guy, which I like. It feels like you guys are taking this full stack AI company. You're taking a different approach to building a big company, like a venture-backed company. Tell us about why you went that direction. You have an agency, and then you start doing this. Tell us how you get there.
Yeah, so I think full stack AI company is just a fancy term to call yourself a services agency without naming yourself that. I'm not scared of saying we're an agency, and I say it all the time, even when we were raising. And a lot of the VC space thinks services cannot be scaled because, of course, 5 years ago they couldn't. There's very, very few services agencies that have made it big. But I think the important thing for scalability is understanding the metrics of a business. What is the employee ARR? How much is every marginal extra employee adding? When those numbers make sense, when those numbers are crazy good, at some point, for us when we were growing, we had a 500K per employee. Absolutely no VC question our scalability the second we have those metrics. Because, the second I hire and I keep adding 500K per employee, we have a venture-backed scalable business. So why was this not possible before? AI was not there. You could not automate all of these tasks. We cannot build. So I was telling you about building these lists. It sounds like a super manual process, which it is if you do it manually. But we have an army of AI agents orchestrating all of this in the background. So when I tell you, go to this crazy event that happened in 2006 and then see everyone that was there, AI agents are doing it in the background. It's not me manually doing this. So we still operate as a services business because there's nothing worse than having to train people on how to use your software when you're a team of 3. We realized that it took us less time to actually deliver the work, and you're also able to charge higher prices, and people are willing to pay you higher prices. They're like, oh, these guys are doing all of the work. I don't have to worry about it. If it works, great. And many of them are also replacing now sales functions. They're like, oh, I don't even need to hire this function anymore. I'm hiring Throxy for this. So I think full stack just means services businesses that are expanding, or to take it even further, I think it's the evolution of SaaS. SaaS stands for software as a service, but I'm not sure about you. I really feel like a lot of my SaaS is definitely not providing me a service. They're just some tooling. So I think this is just the evolution of SaaS. Everyone is trying to name it different things, but this is what SaaS was meant to be in the first place. This is what SaaS was meant to be in 2010. But now we have the technology to actually make it happen.
Makes total sense. Taking a step back, you kind of also had the opportunity to go down the let's make an AISDR, one of those bets, or multiple other solutions for existing problems, right? Like, why did you go down this path specifically, and what sort of ICP target market do you go?
So the first reason why I don't like calling myself an AISDR is, let's remember an SDR tends to be a junior position. We don't believe we're giving junior position type of work anymore. We believe we're giving a complete strategic revamp for businesses. So we are a business development team by itself. So this is the first place why I don't like comparing myself with SDRs. And then why I don't like comparing myself with AISDRs is because AISDRs have completely proven incapable of delivering outcomes, whereas we have completely proven ourselves capable of delivering those outcomes. So why would I classify myself in a category that has completely failed both the market and investors? That's the main reason. And then the reason why we're deciding to go beyond AISDRs is we think we're adding a lot more value, and we'll continue to add a lot more value as we move further down the funnel. At the moment, we are doing the prospecting enrichment, but my vision is to go deep in the funnel, get insights from the CRM, from sales conversations, feed it back to Throxy, and have essentially one-on-ones that are happening constantly with the market, with your CRM, with every sales conversation. So the outreach keeps improving, getting better. And most importantly, the prospect experience gets much better.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I remember something that struck me is when we talked like a while ago, you guys already had this position or this vision that AISDRs weren't really going to work, right? So it's a strong position that you took back when you started this, and when it wasn't really that obvious. We'll see, right? But at least when the technology wasn't there already. I guess my question is, why did you decide to go down the services specifically when everybody was saying, yeah, just build software here?
And so I think, for example, why Combinator has given a lot of the mantra of do things that don't scale. When you actually inside there, you realize what this means is just go with one customer. Just try to make one customer very happy. Understand the issues very well. And odds are that person is not the only person facing that specific issue. You only earn the right to automate once you have understood the problem. And this is actually one of our mantras at Throxy, is earning the right to automate. Now we're hiring engineers, and I don't want them to automate our replies until they've done 100 replies themselves. They've understood what works, what doesn't. Because automating everything is very easy, especially if you come from a technical background. But unless you understand the issue very well, you won't be able to automate it properly. So a lot of our competition decided to automate everything to try to figure out what works. We realized that it's better to figure out what works manually and then automate what works. And I think that's the contrarian view, is we decided to take a much slower approach. It would have been much easier to automate everything and put all of this out of the market 2 years ago. We would have had much higher traction back then. But then we would have also had much higher churn, unhappy customers. Whereas now that we decided to just slow down to accelerate, we're in a great position, very happy customers, a lot of customer referrals. We haven't spent a single dollar on ads and are growing much faster.
Super cool. Can you show us something about the platform on a share screen? Whatever you can show.
Yeah, let's do that. I mean, I think it's important to know before I do it is everything I'm going to show, it's happening in the background. My customers don't have to look at this, and this is what they love about us. But I'll show you, for example, Throxy. Like, I'm not sure what client I have open right now, so hopefully I'm not sharing anything too confidential. Let's go to our app. So all of this is happening in the background. As you can see there was something happening in cron job. So all of these are lists that are happening in the background. But what the customer sees is a dashboard of results. They see here the number of meetings that are happening. So for example, in June, we booked them 4 meetings, but they also see every single interaction that's happening with every single prospect. So for example, if I go to this prospect, you can see exactly what was sent, what the reply was. And this is what the user experience is. It's no longer, I need to be the one sending these emails. It's I become a manager of Throxy. So they're able to rate the account, the persona, give meeting feedback. If at any point they want to give them a call, they can request a phone number and we'll pull it from anywhere. I mean, it's here, so we'll pull it from there. And at any point, this is what they see. This is what the meeting, and when they have the meeting, they can rate it here. And as you can see, they can see here the results. Of course, on weekends, we're not sending for traditional industries. But this is the beauty. What I've shown you is what the customer sees, and this is what's happening in the background. This campaign is here. You can see, for example, the emails that are being sent, the next email that's being sent. I mean, here says the sequence has ended. You can see some account insights, as well as some suggestions of things that might resonate with a prospect. You can also see all of our messaging, which is here. We test a lot of different messages to see what works, what doesn't. And this is what the customer loves about us. All of this beautiful stuff is happening in the background. They don't have to worry about any of this. They can see their inbox here. They can see the positive replies. They can see the negative replies. They can come here and see every single person that's interested in their services to give them calls. They can see all the messaging, and they can see all of their mailboxes, what's happening, what the reputation is, all the active inboxes, all the inboxes that are having bad reputation, therefore are paused. And again, the beauty of Throxy is that all of this is happening without needing my customer to be hands-on every single day in the platform. So the beauty of our services agency is that you can achieve 100% usage without having to involve the user.
Yeah, it's super cool. Can you help me understand, how does an engagement work with a particular client? No? So from the point of there's interest, you start talking to them. How do you position yourself in their mind versus all the other options that they have, internalizing all the tools, etc.? Like, what do you say that just, this is the light bulb moment for them? Oh, this makes sense.
Perfect. So usually what I do is, most of our pipeline still comes from Throxy. So we're sending very quality outbound to people. So
Very cool.
When they come to us, they're like, I remember this, this still happens quite a lot. It's happening less, but like a lot of people are asking, how do I know if this works? You don't have case studies yet. And this was back then. And I was like, you replied to my email, didn't you? And they say, oh, yes, I did. And I was like, how do you think that happened? And he's like, that was AI. And I'm like, yes, that was AI. So I think that's a bit of the aha moment that really helped me do the initial acceleration. Now that we have like quite good reputation in the space, a lot of case studies, a lot of people recommending us, it's becoming easier. So it's usually a demo call, understanding who their ideal customers look like. If I see that they're a fit, if I think they sell to the industries that I believe we can help, if they have a product that's differentiated enough that I believe we can do effective outbound campaigns, I usually send them a statement of work over, which basically means we'll do prospect on your behalf. You trust us to do this, and we start sending. And how does this look operationally? We have an onboarding call. They send an onboarding form where they tell us a lot more about their business, about their prospects. We like doing it async so they also can reflect on what their ideal customers look like. A lot of people love our onboarding form and they tell us, actually, Pablo, this was great. I want my whole team to fill this out because it allowed me to do a lot of introspection of my prospects. And they tell me, I realized that there wasn't much about the business. Is this on purpose? And we tell them, yes, I don't care what you do. I only care about what your prospects care about. And the less I know about your business, the better my outreach is going to be because I'm going to care more about what the prospect faces. So it's an onboarding form and then onboarding calls. We tell them to revise the messaging and everything. If they like it, they approve it. We start sending. And then usually by week 3, we have the initial set of results. We evaluate. If things are going well, we scale it. If things are not going so well, we try to see, is this because of a deliverability issue? Is it an account finding issue? Is it a persona issue? Is it that we're not replying fast enough? And whatever the bottleneck is, my team and I will fix it. And then next week, we have another call in which we usually report results and we're like, actually, this is how we fix this. And it's basically constantly launching new campaigns, new personas, new messaging. And whenever something works, you scale it. Whenever something doesn't work, you iterate.
Super. What you said about how do you know this works? I have a couple friends at Gong, and they do the same. You know, they use their tool to do the sales. And how do you know this works? Well, it's working, isn't it? Very cool. And what's under the hood, right? Like, because this is hybrid because you have a big technological component behind the scenes. How does your company scale behind the scenes? You have a big tech unit, you have account managers. Like, how are you guys structured and how do those pods, like how do you organize the team internally?
Perfect. So we are 3 co-founders and is actually every single co-founder has a different function. I lead growth, so I do anything growth related, LinkedIn sales, everything growth, I am the single person that manages, and I'm in charge of 100% of growth. And then R now is 100% in charge of engineering, anything that's happening in the background, anything that's needed to make our clients happier, their prospects happier, better results. And then we have account managers, and these are the people that are doing like the manual work behind the scenes. We call them product, and they're the people that are improving the product. They're the ones that are facing all the issues. They're the ones that are hating the platform, and they're like, I'm hating that it's taking me 3 minutes to reply to people. All right, now go and fix it. Engineering team, this is what's happening. This is what needs to be fixed. They're the ones that are speaking with the customers. They're the ones that are like, the customer right now, it's taking too long for them to give us feedback on the messaging.
Mm-hmm.
We're using Google Drive. Now build this messaging and all these comments inside of the platform so they can give faster feedback. So essentially 3 functions under each of us. And this is how we broke it down initially. And now that I'm scaling, I'm in charge of hiring the growth people. Bergen is doing the product people. Arnau is hiring the engineers. And the most important thing is we don't have admin operations on the side. That's not a function. That's not moving the needle for everything. So we outsource it. Accounting is outsourced. People is outsourced. Lawyers are outsourced. We don't want any of that because that's deviating from the mission so far.
Super. Some other time you have to tell us a little bit about how the tech is actually organized, like what modules and how they work together and so on. But I know we're running out of time. So just a couple of quick fire ones. Tell us a little bit, where are you now? You just completed YC, you just closed the round. Any numbers you can share on revenue, on amount raised? What's up?
Yes, so we completed YC with around just over $1 million in revenue. Now we're at 1.5 million in ARR. We raised a round of 6 million. Base then led the round for fellow Spanish founders. He is the founder of 20. I had an amazing chat with him. I think it instantly clicked. And the last thing I want to say, just related to raising San Francisco, everything else just feels horrible. It's a horrible experience. I remember with Base 10, we had a term sheet in 2 hours. We had it signed in 5, 3 million wired in a second. And the difference is the leverage is all on the founders in SF. And there's just so much talent, so many opportunities, especially when you don't need capital. We were very profitable. Everyone knew that we didn't need capital. So they knew they had 2 options. They either move fast or they would lose out on the round. And there was quite a lot of Spanish VCs that had interest. And the second they had to schedule the investment committee, their second call, we had closed our round. So I think this is advice. If you want to back YC companies, you either do it fast or you won't be able to back them.
Makes sense, man. Thanks for letting me invest a little bit. And lastly, any tactical mental model framework or idea that you can give founders that you keep coming back to? There's one thing that you mentioned in one of your posts that I really resonated. I'm not going to steal this one for your answer, but you talked about being scrappy as not just a phase, but a mindset. I don't know, maybe that one and another one or just that one?
So, don't die. Just don't die. And that's usually spend as little as possible until you find product market fit. But then the second you find product market fit, value your time over anything. So one of the things, for example, that we're doing completely on Scrap is we're paying gym subscriptions for everyone. It's a over £300 gym in London. It has everything, sauna, everything you can imagine. Why? Because we've realized that increases productivity for everyone. It's the second you hit a nice sauna, you go to the gym, everyone that likes that, they come back to the office, they're pumped and they work hard. So it's be scrappy until you find what works and then scale it. Scale what works. It's your time to scale, your scale to shine. You cannot slow down because the opportunity is too big for you to slow down. But until then, share rooms, don't buy an office, go to a WeWork, try not to pay for a WeWork if you can, do everything scrappy. But I think the biggest learning, which honestly is not revolutionary, but it's just work fucking hard. One thing that Arnau says that I completely resonate with is we never see normal inputs yield extraordinary outputs. So if you're not putting extraordinary inputs, you will likely not have extraordinary outputs. So just work fucking hard. And when you do, it's very, very difficult for you to fail. Just build and also find a problem that actually exists. Don't build a solution and try to create a problem around that. But I think it's that, just work very hard, be scrappy. And the second you find what works, accelerate with all your strength. And yeah, I think the wheel has been invented already. No need to reinvent it. So just follow up common advice. Don't try to reinvent. For payments, use Stripe. For your database, use Firebase and Supabase. No need to create everything from scratch. And I think that is only reinvent very, very few things that are pivotal for your business. So for us, we're reinventing outreach, but everything else, we're using common sense, what people recommend, because I am not an expert in accounting. I don't need to reinvent accounting. I'm an expert in outbound. That's my job, to reinvent outbound. That's it.
Thank you, man. Where can people find you?
LinkedIn or Throxy.com.
Beautiful. All right, Paulo. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you very much.
Speak soon.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Speak soon.